Hello, everybody, and welcome back to M&J Games. I am Michael, and today we are doing a coaster spotlight called Blue Thunder, and this is created by Wild Man Wolf. I think I pronounced that right. Yeah, Wolfie or Wolf. um, and those of you might know this creator as James on the Discord, and he's a follower of the channel, and just wanted me to check out one of these coasters that he had made. So definitely, really excited to do this. As this is a more of a terrain RMC, as you can see from just kind of the overhead footage and stuff, and so I can see some areas where the terrain kind of matches it, which is really really nice. So I'm really excited to check this out. And let's see, hold on. Looks like, yeah, let's turn to a specific time of day. So really excited to kind of check this out because I was not expecting this to be like a coaster only park when he sent this to me. So it's really cool. As I love when creators do this. I don't know if I have the patience to build this much just around one coaster for it to not to be a whole park. But really cool, really good sign. Maybe I would just maybe lower it just a tad bit. That would just be my thing. I'd probably just maybe lower it about halfway. That's just my opinion though, right there. But I like using those letters. Which why in the world could Frontier not give us better or more options of letters? But really good. I do like how you can see kind of a couple of the main hills in the background. And one thing too is James has been getting better with each coaster he makes, so it's really really good to see when a lot of effort's put into, because that's the whole point of playing this game, is we try to get better with each creation and try to do different things and learn the game more. And I love this right here, how the coaster just comes right by the path. Like that's a really really cool touch. And then also this, just the detail here. It's just basic pieces, but then putting those kind of ivy and roses on it just really, really adds a lot. And ooh, I love this station. Really, really cool. Now, the only thing I'd say about having the transfer track here is I feel like if you're going to have the transfer track right there, you need to put some kind of wall up on this side to kind of block it, so that they can't necessarily see the maintenance workers working and stuff like that. Now, that is a cool view. That is an awesome view right there of seeing the coaster go up the lift like that. And then I like too how you've covered the that fencing or whatever you call it. Well, I can't speak the fencing. So you got the numbers right there as well. So you've got the. Although I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like this should be the other way around. But that's just me. So let's see what this looks like at night real quick while we're waiting for a coaster to show back up. So it's lit up really well. Once again I said, I love the detail with this. Looks amazing. So while we're waiting for the coaster to show up, let's excuse me. Woo. Look at the stats. Everything's green across the board, which is great. G-force is really good, especially looking at the lateral and vertical there. That's a really really good sign. And then so airtime count 12. Wow, that's got a lot of airtime. So I'm really excited to check out this coaster, and I will talk to you guys afterwards. All right, so that was Blue Thunder, and there's a lot to like about this coaster. First of all, outside of a couple areas that I'm gonna point out in a second, it was a really, really smooth coaster, and you did a great job with that. Um, the layout, I think there were some really, really strong parts of the layout. Like from away, this part maybe looks a little bit too extended in terms of some of those little airtime hills, but when you're actually on the coaster, those were awesome as it was almost like a triple up in a way. Um, so like those are really cool. And then I think here at the end it just slowed down a little bit too much. So I would probably lower this part right here. That would probably be how I would approach this last part, is kind of by just lowering the height of this part of it, because since that comes to almost a stop, it just doesn't have enough speed to kind of pick this back up and carry the momentum to the end how you want it to, because RMCs normally, like, they don't really ever lose their momentum at all. Um, and then I like how you had it kind of hugging the terrain a lot of the way. Like this first drop was great. I would love to see RMC do a GCI style drop like that. Like that was phenomenal. I think there was one part down here to smooth out a little bit. Like there's some it jolted just a tad bit. Um, but this is really cool. So a couple things I want to point out is I did ask James if he minded if I edited just a couple things just to give a good example of stuff. And so one thing I try to do when making coasters is I try to not have any pieces of track that have the same, like never to have two pieces of track in a row that have the same degree of incline or decline. And the reason is you see how it kind of creates this kind of straight look to it because it just looks a little strange off the ride and on the ride. And so what I would do here is potentially, so let's me get out of this camera mode. So if I were to delete this for a second, so normally what I would do is, so I might extend that, and then I would go down like this, and then I might jump two pieces there. So although that might actually be, let's see, 33, 0, 33. And then you can kind of, so now you see that it doesn't quite match up properly. So then what I can do is I can just kind of smooth it out then. And you see the drop, it's still not quite as steep as maybe you would see it. But what it does is it doesn't necessarily have any two parts in a row that are directly straight. And so it looks a little bit different when you're on the ride as well. Because it just kind of creates for a more natural parabolic kind of look. Because essentially when you look at roller coasters, most hills have this kind of parabolic sense or kind of style to them where they increase and kind of decrease by the same amount right there. And so that's kind of one part I want to look at. So that's just kind of a hint I have when kind of making hills. And as I said, I really like this area, how this part turned out. Because I think it's really cool when you're on it. You've got that kind of water feature right there. You got that waterfall, just so well done, and especially having the little water feature on top. And you've mixed up the rocks. That's really, really well done. And I didn't even notice this backstage area before. This is cool. You got a little detail back here, which is nice. Maybe the only suggestion I would have here is you could actually take a path, and you can do this, something like this. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because when you then cross through like that, what it does is it kind of opens up a space to where then you can in theory have like put a door here or something, or you could also let's see if this would work. Let's see. So same thing there. So you can essentially have this like space for cars or trucks or whatever is needed to kind of drive through here and get to the back. Just an idea of something you could do just to kind of add a little bit more of that detail to it. But yeah, so another thing too is, I think here there's a little, it like went, it's hard to see there. There's a little bit of a awkward kind of jolt to it. And the reason is, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think this is a pre-made piece. And so when you adjust the size of the pre-made piece, it adjusts the entire thing. And from like a design standpoint, I would say this is maybe the one element in here that we haven't seen on an RMC yet. We've seen a dive loop, but that's different than this. That's not saying they can't do it. It's just something we haven't seen. But as I said, I mean, I really like the idea with this train coaster. I like the airtime hills you did. I think maybe the only thing that's missing is, and this almost gives me like a Beast vibe where it's like overbanked and just kind of has that banking. So let's just see this real quick. Because it does lose a little bit of its luster right there. So let's, for just a second. So what if you did, so you did something like this, and then you kind of had it go up. And so one thing that RMC does a great job of is doing this kind of overbanked, almost like a wave turn. Or that, I guess technically that is a wave turn. So then you could kind of go back down just a tad bit here, and then you could do you could do kind of this awkward overbanked turn, and then kind of can go something like this, because RMC like I said, does a great job of making these kind of overbanked yeah, so kind of just gosh, I can't speak right now, but they do these really good, just awkward bankings and stuff that you normally don't see with any type of coaster, but it really works. And then kind of go through, and when I smooth 3 pieces at a time. That's just kind of the style that I choose to go with, and I feel like that works pretty well. And sometimes too, like with the drop, so like with something like this as well, what you can do is you can take the whole drop and kind of smooth it out. And so now let's kind of take a look at a couple of these things. And by the way, look, me going over this stuff is not to take away from this at all, because you did this is, to me, like by far your best coaster you made, and this is an awesome coaster. So I absolutely loved it. Yeah, this part here did not turn out how I wanted it to. It's just kind of, because I didn't really have a, so I wanted to kind of be more like a hill. Oh, I see what it's doing. It's not adjusting the banking at all. It's just adjusting the, okay, I see. Yeah, so that part I didn't really do that part well, because I was trying to connect it here at the end. And I just feel like it still loses a little bit too much of its speed, so you could probably adjust the brake speed there. But I think you could see a little bit of a difference kind of going up this hill when you don't have any pieces that are perfectly, like 2 pieces in a row that are on the same degree, just because it doesn't seem like you're flattening out at all at any point. I don't know if that's the correct way to phrase it. But yeah, as I said before, I think this is a really great coaster design. And I hope the stuff I went over was not taken away from what you did at all, because this is great. Another thing, that you could do is, which I know is kind of hard to do that, but one thing I have learned a little bit with making mountains, and these are just tough, but doing the flatten the foundation, this might be what you've done a little bit, but I'll just kind of take this down and do stuff like that, and just kind of go over the whole mountain doing that. Just trying to get it as much of those ripples as possible, which sometimes here it's like it's hard to. There we go. So that's what I'm trying to get to look partly like that. So you can kind of get those ripples there and so forth. And I do hope that in the Planet Coaster 2 that they have a little bit more of a like a terrain tool that's a little bit easier to work with. So I feel like making legit mountains are so tough. So yeah, and then you can come over and it's going to take time. So you go back over and smooth what you've done, and then you can kind of continue that process as well. But then sometimes like here, it got to a point where now it looks like it's almost all grass, right? Where you don't really have much of that kind of rocky terrain. And so that's kind of the process that I'll do a little bit. But it looks like you've done some of that already, which is nice. And there are, again, just really great views on this coaster. So love to hear your opinion on this. And thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. And check out the links below to be able to check out James' YouTube channel, as well as download this creation on the workshop. And hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Talk to you guys later.